Okay. Welcome to the December District 5 meeting, everyone. I'm really excited to have Vern with us tonight, and we're going to start with him.
So a few months ago, we were doing some improvements to Center Street, and we did some raised crosswalks and some sharrows, and it really helped to tone the traffic down a little bit as far as the speed is concerned. It didn't affect volume too much, but what we ended up doing is we saw some people realize they don't want to take Center Street. It was closed, right? We literally closed the road. And so they were taking alternative areas or alternative routes. And one of those was 100 North. And so I had to wait until we had Center Street completed and opened before I could do this study, even though we were kind of getting some complaints on 100 North with their speeding. So let's go to the next slide here. And the request was, hey, we got a lot of speeding going on 100 North between 500 West, which is State Street, and 900 West, which is a local city street. Just to give you a little context here, northbound on 8th, 7th, and 600 all have north and southbound stop signs. The free flow movement is to 9th, where you have to stop because 9th has the free flow movement at north and south, and same thing with the signal at State Street. So with that being said, we know the project area. You guys live in this neighborhood. I used to live in this neighborhood. So let's go to the next slide. So first thing I'm going to do is talk about crash data and what we found over the last 3 years. So typically in urbanized areas, we look at crash rates or crashes for the last 3 years. And then in urban areas, we usually look 5 years because there's so much more traffic volume in the urban areas. So we need 5 in the rural. But in this particular case, we looked at the last 3 years, January 2020 through December 31st, 2022. There were 7 total crashes. Probably not a surprise to anybody that we only had 1 in 2020, the COVID year, where there's a lot of lower volume, right? And then in 2021, we saw an uptick to 3. In 2022, we also had 3. One of those was a motorcycle, 2 involved distracted driving. The crash severity was 5 were no injury crashes, 1 had a possible injury, and then the other one was a suspected minor injury. And then the crash information, 7 crashes were all in good weather, dry roads, daylight conditions, and they all resulted in angled crashes where either they were turning left and hit another vehicle that's coming through the intersection, or 2 vehicles that were turning. I don't know how that happens, but it does. Let's go to the next slide. You didn't test any of the 500 West. So that's a really good question. I took out the intersection of 500 West on State Street, and I took out the intersection of 900. I did not look at the crashes at those locations specifically because I was trying to stay in the 100 North corridor. So on 600 West, we had 4. On 700 West, we had 2. And on 800 West, we had 1. And those, that's your 7. So we could go into a little bit more detail on crashes. If we wanted to dive really deep, I could get into some of the things, but you saw the weather conditions, you saw it was dry pavement, you saw that it happened during daylight hours, you saw that they were angle crashes. So let's go to the next slide. I think that crash data, any questions on crash data before I move on? Hi, Becky. Oh, hang on. You're going to need a microphone to ask any questions tonight, just because it's so much better. And the audience that's watching can hear your questions.
So it's like we're prom queens, huh?
Is that working?
Oh.
Good. Hold it right up there.
We're prom queens. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so those crashes, maybe you mentioned this, were they during drop off pickup times for Dixon?
I did not look at the times. They just all occurred during daylight hours.
Okay.
I did not look at the time of day.
I do happen I do happen to know that 2 of the crashes were not during those peak times, because the crash that happened the day before the motorcycle or the week before, was my ex-boyfriend, and that was about 10 in the morning. And then the motorcycle was also during the day, so it was not during those main commute hours, but both of those were 600 West.
Sorry, I must not have asked correctly. What I was wondering is 100 north from 500 west to University. So that, because what I've heard is that you're trying to route the Center Street traffic to 100 north coming off University, down First North to Fifth West, and then over onto the freeway from there. Was that not an important?
That's
section?
not correct. 100 north between 500 west and 900 west.
University.
What I'm saying is that is not a collector, but from 500 west over to University is a collector, and we are trying to route traffic over on that part.
Okay, all right. So there's not a concern about injuries or traffic accidents along that section.
No, I just didn't look at it. My study area was only from 5th West to 9 West. That's all I was asked to look at.
I see.
I didn't look at the entire 100 north from where it ends on the east to where it begins on the west. I was just looking at this particular neighborhood.
Okay.
Yep. So the definition, any others before we move on? Just a couple definitions that might be helpful. When I talk about average speed, it's a summation of the vehicles when they're measured as they go by the specific monitoring point, and then we divide that by the number of vehicles observed. The 85th percentile is a speed at which or below 85% of the vehicles are doing. Okay, so that's what I have to do by law. 85th percentile. I'm supposed to post the speed limit at that. Rarely does that justify increasing or decreasing speed limits because it's just hard to do, right? And then the volume of vehicles is strictly the number of vehicles that pass by the monitoring point. So next slide. So typically I like to put my monitoring point in the middle of a block, but because there's so much on-street parking here, I couldn't get good readings. So I had to go to the intersections. And so they were on the northeast corner of both 7th West and 8th West. Again, I like them in the middle, but I just couldn't make it work because of the parking. So let's go on to the next slide. So let's look at the 700 West speed results. We did it for 3 days, over 72 hours. We did it 80 hours. And I broke it down by eastbound and westbound. And the overall average speed was 20 miles an hour. This is all good news. Okay. You're not going to like the next slides though. At 800 West. At 700 West, we had overall good speeds at 20 miles an hour, and the 85th percentile was 26. That's some of the best in the city, okay, for compliance. The highest speed reported, I had 5 people that went between 41 and 45. That's for we put them out on the 9th, and then they recorded all day, the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So we had, yeah. So you can see that's a Thursday through Sunday. Okay, let's go to the volume one. Next slide. So our volume results were the same 80 hours, the same dates. You can see the eastbound vehicles versus the westbound vehicles. The overall total vehicles were 10,000 for the 3 days and some hours. So that's about 129 vehicles per hour, 3,100 vehicles a day. So you're about a third of capacity. A road like that can probably handle about 9,000 vehicles per day. It would be busy. You wouldn't like it. Okay. Okay, so that's a 700. Any questions on 700 before we get to the bad news? Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this surprised me a little bit. I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing the study between 5th and 9th. If I get some speeding results, maybe 7th might be a good area to do some traffic calming, like bulb outs or something. But based upon this data, it'd probably be needed at 8th West. So let's look at it. So same dates, 79 hours total. Took that one down first. Eastbound speed was 30 miles an hour and the 85th percentile was 36. The westbound speed was 32 for average and 85th percentile was 40. Overall speed was 31.
Vern, I'm not sure if your microphone is still working.
Okay, thank you. I can hear me now. Dead battery. So 38 and some yahoos were going 61 to 65. 4 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, so not very happy with the results that we got for speeding on there, right? So before I ask you guys a couple questions, let's go over to the volume real quick so we can kind of wrap this up with the volume stuff. So next slide. Okay, so the volume actually was less than 700, which makes some sense. I kind of have a couple ideas, but you guys live there, so you tell me. But overall, total vehicles 9,000 for the 3 days and 2,700 vehicles total. And again, that's about the third of capacity. So it's a pretty fairly quiet street to live on. I mean, it's not 1,200 cars a day, but it's not 9,000 cars a day, right? So that's where we at with volume results. I think I have one more slide that compares the two, that has a summary. And one more slide. Let's see here if we got that. Okay, so now you can kind of compare the two. I don't know what's happening here for the speeding. So can you enlighten me and tell me what's going on at 8th West? And let me get you a microphone, okay? So the people at home can hear. Great.
Okay, so I am 31 years old, 32 this month. I have lived in the same house my entire life on 100 North, 657 West, so like right across from the lower income housing. What we see on a consistent basis is people will use 100 North to speed whichever direction they're going for commutes. They use it to avoid Center Street. So oftentimes they will try to just completely bypass Center Street. I hear them shifting up into third, sometimes fourth gear, which your data confirmed. Most of the crashes I see are on 600. But I have noticed that the most near misses are 600 and 800 because those are the closest to the two main arteries that they connect to, 900 West and 500 West. While there haven't been that many crashes, I'm actually surprised there haven't been more because of the number of near misses I see every day. I almost got hit walking home with my daughter on Monday. A lady was stopped at 600 West trying to go south, nearly hit us. She got within about 2 feet of the bag I was carrying. That is not an irregular occurrence. I am constantly seeing people rolling through stop signs, specifically at 600 and 800. I'm actually really interested what the data would show if you did a study at 600 West, because 700 is kind of the middle, and that tends to be the least aggressive area. But yeah, people, they don't care about pedestrians. They aren't paying attention. They roll through stop signs and they are just trying to get to and from the freeway as fast as possible. And that has been the case for over 30 years. And my family has been calling and making complaints for 30 years. And nothing has happened. And we were told there's a speed limit sign on 100 North off of 500 West. There wasn't one until very recently. They were saying, no, there's one right there. And my mom would go out and she'd be like, I'm looking at that street right now and there's not a stop sign. Okay. So this has been an ongoing issue, and it definitely is. People have realized that they don't have to stop for that 4-block stretch. So they can go as fast as they want to get to and from the freeway.
Great observation. Other comments? We got one more up here. Let me grab that mic from you. There you go.
I mean, this may be already clear, but I think people heading westbound, trying to get to the freeway, are tending to try to turn back onto Center Street at 6 West. And that's why you're seeing more accidents there. And if they can't make it, if it's somehow inconvenient for whatever reason, then they're punching it to get down maybe to 9th, but because there's a stop sign and there's more traffic there, a lot of people are going to try to kick over at 800 to get back over to Center.
I just want to say thank you. We use this as, but thank you for your studies, and I'm so excited to hear your solutions and to make her safe again, or safe, not again, safer, so she can walk home with her kids.
Thanks for your comments. And it looks like we have another one here.
I ride my bike. I have a cargo bike, my husband and I do, and we ride on that street almost every day with our children in there. So I've also noticed cars going fast, and oftentimes they're like speeding around us, even though we're on the side of the road. I think for me, one thing about that street is that it's really wide.
Mhm.
And so in terms of crossing and all these things, but when you're crossing or anything, I think they feel comfortable. So we bike all around Provo. And in particular on that street, because it's so wide, they feel comfortable going really fast around us in a way that in other places people will pass us on the side, but they don't feel like they have this space to both give us space and go, 25, 30 miles per hour when they're passing us. And if I'm making a left turn and signaling, because I always signal, sometimes they'll be speeding around me on the left and then I'm making a left-hand turn. So anyways, I find the width of that street, and again, the lack of stopping to be something driving those cars to be going so fast.
Yeah, the width is both a blessing and a curse, right? They should give you at least 3 feet. That's the state law. And, hopefully there's enough room because there's parking on both sides of the street, right? That road with 3,000 cars is not as busy as what a lot of people, a lot of roads we see. There's plenty of room to go around you. And it's just inconsiderate, right? You're spot on, by the way. So my analysis was that when people are going westbound on First North, and this kind of goes to your comment as well, rather than turning left at the signal and go down to hit another signal to make the right turn to go to the freeway, they get the green light through. And what they'll do is they'll kind of drive slow and they'll look down 6th. If there's no cars down there, they're going to turn down left and then make the free right onto Center. If there's a car or two waiting, they'll go to 7th and do the exact same thing. If they don't get to 7th, by this time they're ticked off. They're going to go all the way down to 9th, make the left and have the right at the light. So that's my assessment. It sounds like that's what your assessment is. So what we have here is cut through traffic, and it sounds like it's been happening for 31 plus years. It is important that we kind of manage traffic on Center Street, and we do need more east-west connections and roads that can handle that east-west traffic. And so what are the solutions? Let's go to the last slide. A couple of things that I'd like to do. I meet with the city police department, the patrol division on a monthly basis, and we share information about speeding and traffic accidents and what's going on and what they're seeing, what we're seeing. So I'm going to share this information with them. As we all know, Dixon middle school is closing down at the end of this school year, if I understand correctly. That's still the timing. It will go and move across the interstate to Shoreline School. And so next fall, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to repeat again. And maybe I'll have another camera where I can do 6th as well. Okay. I'm going to try to get it in the middle of the block and see what we can do. This year's funding process is already in the process, but maybe next year we could apply for a community development block grant funding for a possible eighth bulb out at 8th West. And what this does is it narrows the intersection where cars can't just make a really wide radius turn. It slows them down a little bit because it gets narrow here, and it allows a pedestrian shorter distance to cross the road. So it's a little safer in that regard. Here's an actual one on 2nd East and 1st North on the other side. So if something like this might be applicable, we wanted to work with the District 5 Council or neighborhood district and see if that might be something they're interested in. But that's where I'm at. We do have the stop sign going westbound as soon as you come off of 5th. We have a stop sign, or did I say stop sign? Sorry. It's a speed limit sign at 25 miles an hour. And then when you come off of Center Street and turn left on the 9th West, there's an immediate 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. But then some people are turning right on 1st North and there isn't one. Technically, they should know that it's 25 miles an hour because it's just been posted. If you think it's beneficial to have another 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign there as they enter 1st West going east, I'm happy to install it. You just let me know. If you think that repetition is beneficial, I'll install it. Yeah, tell me.
Oh, I think it won't change so much, but at least it's there. And I have a suggestion that might be what part of your solutions in the next slide, but I would love it. And especially for them too, if we could put temporary bulb outs while you wait to build the real ones with candlesticks. Springville has it even. Please. We've been wanting something like this for so many things. Can this be the first place? I mean, 60 miles per hour, that's terrifying. And it seems like an emergency to me. Could we try that there? That's my suggestion.
I am using a few of those. I just used a few of those on another road. I'm seeing how they work. I'm seeing how they're going to hold up during the winter here. I'm seeing how I know. Minnesota does it. Minnesota does it. Minnesota does. So what I want to make sure is that I have a lot of other public works vehicles, garbage trucks, snow plows that need to do their job. I do need to coordinate with them as well, but I think it's a really good suggestion.
No plastic things that can go around.
We got, yeah, hi.
Vern,
So good to
I
see
was
you.
thinking, nice to see you too. I was thinking even a temporary speed bump or something on 6th West. Is that something that's feasible?
Speed bumps again, we just policy is that the city has never placed speed bumps on public facilities. So out here, this is a public road, but it's a raised crosswalk. And I know I'm dealing with semantics and subtlety differences in definition, but I do have a whole host of emergency vehicles and snow plows and garbage trucks that really are not huge fans of those speed bumps. So I think the better traffic calming measures that we do are bulb outs, raised crosswalks. At least we've been able to experiment downtown. I'd like to expand that downtown more, but you know, those cost a lot of money to do. And then, you know, the poor Downtown Alliance, Provo Downtown Inc., they had to close down the roads for 2 weeks and at a time. And I don't know how their businesses did. I hope they did great, but you know, you're always concerned about them as well. Yes, ma'am.
So does the data allow having some four-way stop signs put along there? Because that would slow down traffic.
So you bring up a very good point, but it's illegal for me to install a stop sign to control speed. So I'll give you an example. Well, I won't give you an example. I'll tell you what happens when you install stop signs where they're not warranted. People speed up right after that stop sign and they're ticked. And then they realize, hey, no one's coming, so I'm not going to stop anyway. And that increases the accidents. So it just ticks. People are smart. They know when it warrants a stop sign and when it doesn't for the most part, right? And so they'll blow through them, unfortunately. So I can't control speed by stop signs, and the amount of volume that I've been looking at doesn't reach a peak hour of 800 in two directions to warrant that. Sometimes I can warrant a stop sign with crashes. So I'm going to go back and look at the crashes on 6th West. The problem is that's not great spacing right there, but let me check and see what the data says on that. It has to meet a couple other criteria. But if I have so many crashes in a period of 12 months, then I have a little bit more discretion.
I have a question about whether it's more effective to do the bulb out like this or the mini roundabouts you've done on Second East.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Um, roundabouts are really, really expensive. They're much more expensive than bulb outs. I like the mini roundabout, only I want them to be not as mini, but not as big as what we see on, West Center Street or East Center Street. There are some other local residential streets, what would be another one up on 1730 that kind of have those type, but they consume a lot of real estate, and they're about $2 million to build and design. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's a budget issue, but they work. And the accidents on roundabouts are usually just side swipes. There are hardly ever any injuries on roundabout crashes.
A quick question about that mini roundabout on Second East.
Yes.
So you had the little reflective bumpers and they are now gone. What happened there?
I removed them for snow plowing for 4 months. They'll be back in April.
But you didn't need to take the ones off of the slip lane for Canyon Road?
No, because I have a through lane on that. No one plows on that left lane. And that goes to construction, Counselor Whipple, in March or April. We're going to get that intersection realigned correctly, and we're going to get that's going to be much safer.
Thank you.
So it will be permanently safer in the springtime? That's what you're saying?
The Canyon Road one?
Oh, no, I mean the roundabout, the
Oh,
200, North 200.
yeah, I'll put them back, and we're going to play this game to satisfy, so they aren't damaged, and I'm finding them on 2 blocks in someone else's yard. I'm going to take them down, and I'm going to put them up every year until I can do something permanent.
My only thing with that is it does feel like snow plows are taking priority to people's overall safety. Like I myself actually almost got hit at that roundabout like
Walking.
earlier this week because people know that they're gone and they're just speeding through again. Like it's just such a dangerous intersection. But
And so what I'm hearing is the application of the bulb outs worked on that roundabout, right? The bumpers that I put in.
it helped. I do think it helped.
It slowed down traffic from my observation, but you guys live there, and so, did it. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to make that a permanent situation, and we can. Again, I'm new, and so I haven't gone through my first budget process with everybody yet. And so,
We're so grateful for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so thank you. And if you do candlesticks there and it works, can we put it on our roundabout?
I probably won't utilize them on a roundabout, but I am very open to trying those on a bulb out.
Could we okay, there you go. Would it be possible to put concrete around it in the future soon?
Again, that's getting into
The budget.
yeah, a whole permanent design.
Saving lives when it's not snowing.
Well, and we kind of sometimes make fun of our snowplow drivers, but they are required by law to plow the streets for emergency and police, right? And so they do a wonderful job. They work all types of hours. They're great. They do a great job. And I could sit here and tell you a story about the width of the snowplows at 12 feet and how I won't get into lobbying back in. These are standard things that people have a very big stronghold on, right? It's much bigger than I ever will be. Yes.
Getting back to the roundabout on Second and Second,
Mhm.
are there any grants that we could write to maybe come up with funding for cement?
Well, it's not just cement, it's design, but that one has a little bit I'd like to add to. Um, don't we have some CDBG money in that area? Or
Yes, but it's going from fifth to fifth.
oh, it is going on Fifth and Fifth, isn't it? Yeah, hey, just like any other person in this city, they were going to say, I could do so much more if I had more money, right? And I can't put that pressure on our council and mayor, right? My job is to say, these are our needs, and they adopt the funding, so budget. Yes.
Let's see, is this on? So just the talk of roundabouts got me thinking about Fourth East and Center. And I know it's it's a pretty difficult intersection to cross. And I was wondering if a roundabout would be workable there, like the one that's on 7th East. But anyway, really, I wanted to say with this in mind, that changing the hardscape seems like the best solution. I don't think drivers need more education with another speed limit sign. I think people already know the speed limit, and like you
Okay.
said already, if there aren't consequences, if it doesn't seem to matter, then you drive how you want. So I think the hardscape is probably better.
Okay.
I have a couple of Q&A items, and I know that we on the agenda, like we're 7 minutes over.
Oh my.
We are very excited. to have
Chair
you.
Levitt, you're the chair. You do what you want.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I have one comment about 800 North, from someone in the Walking neighborhood, Alex Zapalek. I don't know if that's how you say his last name. Carol Hurst lives on 800 North, and told me today that she heard back from Vern on what is being planned for the street. Apparently she saw somebody get hit on 800 North. This is his comment. Currently, it seems the city is only willing to put in a crosswalk at 400 East, akin to the rec center crosswalk on 500 North. That and a light signal at 800 North and 700 East. It isn't great and doesn't address the entire problem. Carol saw a student get hit at 600 East, so it doesn't solve that. This seems like a good step, but only a Band-Aid solution. Is there any way we can get a better solution in place than what is currently planned?
I have visited with Carol 3 times. Okay. And I have personally visited with the mom of the BYU student that was hit in the crosswalk. I have immediately added high visibility crosswalks on 800 North. But when I was a student 35 years ago, the only thing that's changed on 800 North is bike lanes.
Yeah.
What I want to look at, well, we had some improvements to the parking by BYU, and we've had improvements to the new built science center. We have somewhere between, the estimates are 4,500 and 7,500 students crossing 8 North a day. There's a new grant coming out in February. We should see the notice of funding opportunity in February. And what I'd like to do is do this as a corridor from 1st East to 7th East. I'm going to tell you right now, 7th East and 8th North is really close to warranting a traffic light, right? And that's where BRT comes through. We ran out of time. We don't have, we can't do any more painting for the year. So we are going to install some signs, more signs, and we're going to trim some trees, and we're going to do what we can in the interim before we look at applying for a grant for the entire corridor. What I'd like to do for the entire corridor, my vision is to do ball outs on every single street that connects to 8th North coming from the south. And then I'd like to do, I've been looking at this. I'd like to do flashing beacons at 5th East. When I was a student, 4th East was the main thing, and we went up the 287 stairs, right? now with the construction of the science building, Fifth is the more popular route. And so I plan on putting flashing beacons on Fifth East, and then I got a jaywalking problem between Sixth East and Seventh East. Kids like to go eat pizza, I guess, right? And so I need to put signs up, do not cross here, cross at the, and try to enforce that, right? So we do have plans, we do have thoughts and ideas on it. I have visited with Carol 3 times and saying,
I
this doesn't
appreciate that.
happen overnight.
Yes, yes.
Can I do one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
I have one more thought for the neighborhood, that study that you presented to us. Could you, at least when it's not snowing, do temporary interventions until you're able to permanently put it in? Because it sounds like an emergency to me.
We're at again on the
Um,
one we're looking
On
at.
this, on the one we're looking at, like, is there a temporary solution for when there's no snow plows?
Well, I think the temporary solution you came up with, and that is the plastic ballards, and I'll check into those. They're a little more pricier than what you think they are, but I think they're worth a try. I just, some people are going to tell me they look ugly, and I'm going to say, well, yeah. So
I do think that the same question exists for even the improvements on 800 North. Like, would you consider candlesticks on 800 North as some kind of interim solution?
again, I'm dealing with snowplow stuff. Let me develop the plan. I already had these thoughts in my mind. I've already drawn it out of what we want to do. Like I said, that notice of funding opportunity from the federal government comes out in February. If it matches what we think would be a good fit, we'll submit. The challenge is, to put together an application process for the federal government is not inexpensive. I will let you know, it costs between 15 and 35 grand to put something together that could get selected. And I've submitted twice now for the Safe Streets for All grant, and I've been unsuccessful. And I was a little perturbed, and I looked at the states, and I'm just going to be honest with you. We're not red enough to get the grant. You know what I'm talking about, right? National politics. We're just not. Yeah, Nevada got the grant.
Okay.
So
I have one more
we got a
question.
couple more questions, and I do have an 8 o'clock that I do have to get to.
We'll get you out. We'll get you out. I know that a student was hit earlier this week at 600 North and 200 East, who was injured. It was not fatal, but the injury was pretty severe. I was just wondering if you knew anything about that. If there's, I don't know. I do think 200 East ends up being a street where people also roll through because they're like, I know.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, and
Okay.
it alarms me anytime we have crashes, or especially our vulnerable road users like pedestrians and bicyclists. We do have a grant coming online in 2 years from Center Street down to 6th South on 200 East, and we are going to do some improvements on 200 East there. And I'm trying to sneak in, and I think I was able to convince them that we want to include Center Street from 1st East to 2nd East, that part where we don't have now connection between the sharrows and the bike lanes.
Yeah.
And so I think we've convinced them that that could be included in the 2nd East project. And if they agree, then I hope to do some changes on that cross section. So it looks like we have another question back here. You got the mic?
Hello. Okay.
You're on.
Great. I just have 2 quick questions. My first one is, with this bulb out here at 800 North looks great. I'm wondering, is it going to have crosswalks like this one, or is it going to be more like the one on the left?
Again, this is not.
Oh, this is just your idea.
It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
not
You're
just
good.
an idea. Please don't take that. I'm going to
Okay.
build this tomorrow, because it does take some grant money to build this thing.
Okay. I just know that the 100 North there doesn't really have a lot of painted crosswalks there. So none. She has a sense for the 600, I think, has one, maybe. North, south? Okay. I've crossed there a lot and I haven't paid attention to that. My other question was, regarding raised crosswalks, and just understanding that a little bit better. I know we have them here on Center Street. I'm feeling like 800 North almost has more. I don't have the numbers. I'm sure you do. I'm guessing it has more pedestrians than Center Street crossing there to go to the university. I ride my
does.
bike to the university. I work there, and so I see them. So I'm just kind of wondering, like you said, first of all, I just have to say we really appreciate you because I deeply am concerned about students getting hit at many of these places that you seem to be concerned about. I'm just wondering what that looks like, or are those kind of things not a possibility? Yeah.
Again, I think we need to develop a full plan between First East and Seventh East on Eighth North. I'm excited to work with Councilor Whipple and other members of the council to do something on that, because if you're like me, you've been in Provo for a long time, not much has changed
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
And then I would like to you don't need to answer this now. I'm wondering if you can just point me to where I can get information on the understanding stop signs better. Because it was saying the federal warrant on the stop sign, and I just want to understand it.
Sure.
So you don't have to do it for me now. I can go read it on my own. I just
Right.
don't get it at all.
Okay. Yeah. So go to and just type in MUTCD.
Okay.
It stands for Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices.
Mhm.
It's a traffic engineer's go-to, right? That's what we utilize to justify projects. And quite frankly, that's sometimes what we hide behind, right? And so we use that because that's the law. It's adopted by the federal government. It's adopted by the state of Utah, and we're all subsidiaries of the state for cities. So we have to utilize that as well.
Thank
So,
you.
and it's 2009 edition is the latest edition. And I know that sounds ancient. They've been working on a revised edition for 3 years and they haven't published it yet. I expect it next year.
Sorry, we're really excited about having you here.
Thank you. I live in the Timp neighborhood. The crosswalks that
What
go
neighborhood? I'm sorry.
Timp.
Timp.
Yeah. So the crosswalks that go to that connect to North Park and on 500 North connect North Park, our neighborhood, to North Park and the rec center. The crosswalks were put in a couple of years ago because of one of my son's friends who was hit and killed there.
Yes.
And so we are wondering as a neighborhood, what can we do to get people to actually stop when the flashing lights are going? It's been an ongoing problem, and we are so grateful for those flashing crosswalks, right? My husband, a car came so close to him last week that he was actually able to hit the car. So, and then we have neighbors who have been coming to me, hey, what can we do? People aren't stopping. So what can we do as a neighborhood to make this street a safer street?
Well, I think enforcement's a big part of it, right? Personal responsibility is a big part of it, but you know as well as I do, most drivers are doing this instead of concentrating on what they should be doing. I'll share what your comment was with our police department. Like I said, I meet monthly with them, and next week I'm meeting with them. I can share that information. I think from an engineering perspective, we've provided us a refuge island there. We've provided, and those lights are pretty pricey. We put them in, and I think you're the only street that I'm aware of that has 2 sets of them in the entire city. So it is, but you have cut through traffic on Fifth, right? And so it comes down to getting a message across with those flashing lights. And once you get $100 ticket, I think you learn.
It's such a great improvement, and we as a neighborhood are so grateful. And so I almost feel like so much money has already been invested in it, right? And so I'm just like, oh, but yeah, what, I mean, can we put in painted crosswalks? Can there be like one of those speed, this is your speed? What are those traffic things that,
Yeah, so I
this
just
is the
installed
speed
a
you're
couple of
going?
those and they're giving me some good data. I think I presented last month, Rachel, on that data, didn't I, for Slate Canyon? Um,
For that specific, on 500 North, for that specific?
uh, these
Oh.
were for Slate Canyon.
And could we have a police officer that sits there like,
I, I, hey, that's where I would go. I would love, I can't speak for a police department, but I'd love to do a sting. I'll volunteer.
yeah,
I'll be the pedestrian that walks across the street.
okay, that's what I'll do. I'll call the police officer that patrols our area and see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And see if he can sit there a couple of times a week or,
They're awesome. They're busy.
Okay, so we do have a traffic centric one that is what Vern's gonna talk to, but they can't just sit there all the time. We do have the COP, but they have other responsibilities, and you do have a neighborhood officer. And so I utilize my neighborhood officer, even though they can't sit there all the time. Josh comes down on Fifth whenever he has an opportunity to come there. So I would hit up your neighborhood officer.
And let me answer your question on the crosswalks. The crosswalks, there's only 4 designs that I can do on crosswalks, and they're all regulated by that MUTCD. And school crosswalks are reserved just for school crosswalks. I can't do a school crosswalk anywhere else. I can do high visibility crosswalks and then put bar. Anyway, I won't get into the semantics with you, but that MUTCD tells me what I can and cannot put in on for crosswalks. So, and I just put a whole bunch in at Fifth and Freedom. I received a complaint and I went down and observed and talked to some pedestrians down there, and we have a lot of pedestrian traffic. And there was no crossing to get down to the intermodal center for pedestrians, so you can't cross at 6 with the railroad tracks. And so we observed that and we put all 4 legs of that intersection have crosswalks now. Are you guys tired of hearing me yet? I mean, aren't you tired of? I really feel like I'm wasting your time here, but I'm okay.
As far as contacting police officers to come out and help keep an eye out, I personally have never had any luck with that, and I was actually CC'd into an email, I believe from Rachel, to someone on like in the police department, and radio silence. I never saw them come out, and I am home all the time, so I see everything, and there was one police officer that I noticed hung out for like one day since I first initiated this conversation. Um, so I would definitely look into utilizing the specific officer for your neighborhood. And then, as she was saying, they have a specific division that deals with traffic and speeding. Um, that's my next step until we can get a more permanent solution. But I just wanted to give you that knowledge because from my experience calling just the general police department line, it's not going to really do much because they're so busy. As going back to 100 North, I think if you were to put in any sort of speed limit sign, I think that the ones where it shows you the speed that you're going would be more effective than just a regular one, just because people are like, oh, it's number whatever. But then with that flashing thing saying you're going too fast, you feel like you're being watched. So you're more likely to actually slow down. Or at least that's how I feel when I drive down 500 way down south with that one. But either way, thank you so much for actually listening, because this has been an issue for so long. And honestly, I was close to giving up. The only reason I started asking again is because I now have a 7-year-old daughter. So we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for all you're doing. You've been doing an amazing job so far. Thank you.
Well, The only reason I find out about things is when people call. It could be as simple as, hey, your bulb's out on that traffic light, to, hey, we have a major problem here. And when I receive that information, I log it in. I and I meet weekly with my team to discuss the traffic issues of that week. So I do appreciate the residents for providing information to us, because I don't have time to go out and just drive around the city. But I do have time, or make the time, to go out and look at an incident or look at an issue. And so that's how I process those. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Really quick, Vern,
Yes, Rachel?
those ones on Slate Canyon, were those the ones that were purchased with a matching grant? The ones that tell you your speed? Or
Yeah, so the one that we have that says your speed was purchased with a matching grant, so that's a really good idea.
Yeah, so that's something District 2 used their matching grant money to get one of those put on.
And if you get a match or you get a grant, and I'm happy to order it and install it. And then I'm happy to collect the data and see what we got. I'm collecting data on Slate Canyon. I'm gonna wait a couple months and see if they now just don't see it anymore, or if it's really continuing to work even though it's there and they get used to it. So we'll see.
The ones on Fifth West, we did those as a matching grant as well.
Yeah, and I was on Fifth West the other day, and in my personal vehicle, and that sign helped me.
It
I'm
doesn't
just
help
gonna say that,
everyone,
it helped me.
but it does help those that want to do the speed limit to realize how fast they're going to slow down.
It helped me. I appreciated the reminder.
Could you tell us how much those are?
3,500? 3,500. I think they're 3,500. They're not awful. And then I get a full year's worth of data on there. And if I try, I'd really like to continue that collection of that data, because I can collect speed and volume data on there, and then I compare over years. So, okay.
Thank you so much. More applause for Vern. Okay, Rob Slater, you're up next with any updates on the Fresh Market parking strip grant proposal.
Thank you. For those people that haven't been here at previous meetings, real quick recap. I've proposed we gather as neighborhoods and landscape the park strip over here by Fresh Market. Fresh Market. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think everybody's in favor. So the trick then now is getting money, getting volunteer hours, all this kind of stuff. So we're working on a matching grant, and I don't know if you all have seen, but I've put together a Google Drive that you can log volunteer hours, and volunteer hours are anything you do for your neighborhood or your district to improve it. So you pick up garbage, log those hours. You clean leaves out of the gutter, log those hours. So, I mean, if everybody did this, we really want 500 hours, because we're going to need about that much money to do this landscaping. Right now, we've got about 80 hours logged. Good news is, though, Home Depot they do community service with their employees, and they've offered to let us use their employees first of the year for doing this. I don't know how many people that, or how many hours that's going to equate to, but it's a pretty good size body of people. And so we'll be doing that. And I think it'll be mainly demolition, digging up the old asphalt, taking out the dead trees, things like that, in preparation for spring, actual planting of landscaping. And Dylan, he's not here. He's over one of the district, or no, he's over our district, but which neighborhood is he? He's like a Timp. Okay. Anyway, he put together a really nice 3D rendering that I hope to have tonight, but we couldn't pull it off. But It's pretty compelling. I mean, it's nice. Right now, as we know, this is ugly. And he's got some xeriscape landscaping and some new trees, and wow, it looks killer. I mean, it really is going to be a great improvement. So we do have the hours coming up here in January. The matching grant is 15 hours for every hour of volunteer works. $15, sorry. $15 for every hour of volunteer work. So, if we need $5,000, that's roughly 400 and something, 450 hours. If we could get every neighborhood to be aware of this, I think people are doing good deeds like this all the time and they're not getting credit for it. We could get credit. How many people have gotten any kind of notification of this Google Drive that's set up? It's just a spreadsheet that says how many hours you've logged. Yeah, I think Rachel will send it out, didn't you? Or what did you do?
Yeah, it's been posted on the Facebook page and in the newsletter.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
It seems worth reposting though, and reposting again and again.
I think so. Because so far only one person's put any hours in, and myself. So I'm not counting myself. So we've got one participant besides me so far.
But we need to start posting in January. Is that true? Because it's like within the year of the grant.
Well,
Or am I?
what is the period?
So the year goes July 1st
Oh
to
my gosh,
June
that's
30th.
okay.
So we're like in the
So we need to get going really quick.
Okay.
But your
gotcha.
service hours while you're doing the project can count towards
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
too. But try to get, if you're shoveling snow off your neighbor's,
Yep.
sidewalk or something, just anything that you can do to get that. And we also need the application to be completed.
Mhm.
So then that way we can get the ball rolling. Do not wait till the last minute.
So you've seen what I've completed so far in the application. What is still lacking? Other than the out?
I think we needed details. We needed to know exactly how much money you needed. So we need to know how much the landscaping will cost. If there's any type of, do we need to put in any type of like sprinkler lines or anything?
Mhm. Okay.
We needed to get at least a ballpark number of how many volunteer hours and kind of what activities you're going to do. So we need a ballpark for volunteer hours, but we need specific, these are the plants we're buying, this is how much it's going to cost.
Mm.
So we know exactly how much of a grant you're going to need.
Okay. All right. And these are all like lines in the application. I mean, these are already spelled out. Yeah. Okay.
Who's choosing the plants?
Everybody.
Because I'll be honest, I'm a really good plant chooser. I would love to help out with that aspect.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well,
And I'll
when it
make
comes to
sure I
that
get
point,
it going in my neighborhood, the volunteer hours.
do you have a preference like Cook's Nursery, Home Depot, where you get plants?
Cooks is great. Home
Cooks is
Depot,
good.
yeah.
Do you think we could get them to help out? in
Yeah,
some-
you know what? I'd be happy to ask them.
Yeah, if you know, if
I'll
you're
let-
there often, then you probably know
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be.
I'll ask a couple of different garden centers and see who will.
Okay.
If we spend a certain amount there, will they match that amount? And then that goes towards the matching grant as well.
Yeah.
The donations. Yeah, I'll make sure that they're drought tolerant,
Drought tolerant, yeah. And Rachel, if I send you that rendering, could you post that somewhere? Okay, I'll send it to you tomorrow.
I just have a question. I'm wondering, it's very possible that this information is easily accessible and I just haven't seen it. Can I get more? So it can be anyone that lives in any of these places, and what type, shoveling counts, but like a lot of people live. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay,
if
so
someone
if
were
I'm
to
working on the
drive
park
through
strip
your
in front of my
neighborhood,
house.
they could see it.
Mhm.
I'm just doing my own yard work and my own park strip. This counts. Well, yeah, fair enough. Yes.
Yeah.
Amen. Right. Okay.
Spent a lot of time on that
But
park strip.
okay. Thank you. I'm just making sure that was it.
Yeah, and I think the way Rachel's explained it is anything that does beautify externally as you drive through our district.
Painting their house, sorry. Okay, no, that's not. Okay. Just if it's public, so basically it's just a park strip. But the sidewalk is, so if I shovel their driveway, no. If I shovel the sidewalk in front of their house, yes. If I shovel the sidewalk in front of my own house. Yes,
Yeah.
okay, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying.
Just a very small
Okay,
shovel.
well, it won't be me anyway.
Yeah.
My husband's back there, but making sure he could hear.
So yeah, it's pretty liberal. I mean, as far as what can be counted. So yeah, let's log those hours because we do need them. And I think by next month we'll have more detail on what the actual costs are going to be and such. Back to July. Yeah. Oh, we're not meeting until March?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're doing.
oh, I
Just
see.
need someone to tell me what they did and how many.
Well,
Yeah, and also the My Hometown initiative in the Franklin neighborhoods, they do lots of stuff. Yeah, I just need to have someone to go out there and be like, hey, what are you working on? How many people were there? How long was it? Like,
And
we just need a record of it, of them beautifying your neighborhood from July 1st to like now.
Help
And you
me
don't
out
need
with,
names, just like how many people and how many hours and what the project was.
the Hometown Initiative, there's two people that are shown on the website, one for South Franklin and one for Pioneer Park. Are those the only two neighborhoods that are represented? The Hometown Initiative. Okay. And I've reached out to both of those people and I haven't got any response.
Well, not countless. It has to be if I'm.
Beautifying. Yeah. Are you either of the people here from the Hometown Initiative for our district? Are you not? Okay, because there are only two representatives, right? There's South Franklin and Pioneer Park. Yeah. Oh,
We've got a comment online from Daniel Friend who lives in that neighborhood. Daniel, go ahead.
I'm not on My Hometown, but there are multiple My Hometown people in my church every Sunday. So I will just ask one of them and see what we can do with that. And at least they can point me in the direction of the right person to contact.
that'd be great. Thank you. And Rachel, you saw those hours that the Elks Lodge sent over to us, and are any of those usable?
I don't think any of them are because they were all like, we're raising money because this person is sick or stuff like that. It wasn't anything that's physical that if I were to drive through the neighborhood, I could say, wow, this has really beautified the neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm just saying, put everything on there.
Yeah.
And then I'll double check it with the council director or, the council vice chair and see what counts. I mean, put everything on and we'll see what
See what
counts.
you can get to stick. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Okay, and so anyway, we'll have some help from Home Depot. Hopefully they can bring some heavy equipment too. And then the rest is up to us. So we do need to get involved here, whoever wants to see this happen. Yeah.
Everyone report the hours.
Yeah, get those hours in. So I guess and you said that the drive is on the Facebook page? Okay.
I think we can kind of all reshare it, at least like us chairs, to our individual neighborhood pages and stuff. I'll try to get it out.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob. Do we have an update from McKay Lenker? No, nothing came through.
Yeah, I never heard, I've emailed McKay multiple times and I never heard anything back, so
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So that brings us to you, Rachel.
Okay, we're going to talk about some changes in 2024 to the neighborhood program. So I came in to start this new program. It was something that was decided before I was hired. And so we're kind of figuring things out, and I appreciate everyone being super patient with me as we try to figure out this new program. So we did a survey, and this was to board members and city staff. We did this in September. The most important thing that the board members said that they liked about this new program was the opportunity to interact with city staff, such as Vern Keeslar being here to talk about traffic. I mean, we can all agree that that was amazing to have Vern here to answer our questions. And then there were some other items like more training. There were some ideas of moving some neighborhoods to different districts, maybe having 2 representatives from each district, from each neighborhood, have board members going back to being elected, but some of them like the appointment process. Some said there was too many meetings, but other board members said they want meetings focused just on their neighborhoods. And then there was talk of increasing how much your service hours were, and going back to having the developers notify residents when there's a zone change, when it's coming to a neighborhood meeting. And then the feedback from city staff was overwhelmingly, don't have meetings on Thursdays. The meetings start too late and there's too many meetings. So that's what I got from them. So there are some changes that we can make because they're just policy changes. So this will start in January of 2024. Instead of the mayor having 5 separate meetings, we're going to do 1 meeting, everyone all together with the mayor and the department heads, where she discusses like what's new in Provo, what's coming up, kind of introduces the department heads so you know who to go to when you have a problem. And they are opening that up to a Q&A. So I will be sending out emails and on social media telling people to give me their questions that you want answered from the mayor and the department head. So that will be January 3rd. We're going to change the district meetings to Wednesdays. We're going to see how that goes on Wednesdays. We're also going to have them start at 6 o'clock. So a little bit earlier. And since we're starting at 6, we will serve a light dinner. We're going to go to quarterly district meetings. So right now, in 2023, we were doing them every 6 weeks. And so now we're going to do them quarterly. We're going to see how that goes because a lot of people wanted them quarterly. And at the quarterly district meetings, that's where you have your elections, your presentations from city staff, your land use items, voting on matching grants. That's going to happen at the district meetings. And then since we're going to have quarterly district meetings, you have time between the meetings to have neighborhood meetings where you're meeting just with your neighborhood. And that would be under the direction of your neighborhood representatives. So if you live in the Timp neighborhood and Shannon decides, you know what, we want to have a meeting that's just for Timp, she can go ahead and set that up just like she did with the old program, where it can be held right there in the Timp neighborhood. It could be on whatever day and time that Shannon wants to have. And those would be really good for brainstorming matching grants, community cleanup ideas, listening to residents' concerns, kind of gathering information, anything that they would then want to bring maybe to a district meeting later. But then that way they could do where you're focusing just on your neighborhood. You can also, the board members can also decide between the district meetings to have an optional board meeting just with the board members, maybe deciding agendas, planning neighborhood socials, where to spend their budget funds, stuff like that. So it kind of gives you a little bit more time to do these other meetings between the district meetings. And the district meetings will be focusing mostly on talking to city staff, because the district meetings will be here at the city hall. We're also going to do 2 board member training sessions in January and September. The January training session, that's for the board members. And we're going to focus on development services, parks and rec, and public works, where they're going to tell you exactly who to go to, who to call, how to get things done in the city, the best way to do that. And we've already increased the service hours from $10 an hour to $15 an hour. So some other proposals, and these are still in the works. These are things that have to be changed in the city code. So these are things that I need to present to the city council to get their okay on. Again, this is a program under the city council. And I will be presenting this in the first meeting in January. So that is to have 2 board members representing each neighborhood. That way, when you have your individual meetings, you have a partner to do those individual meetings with. We also thought of maybe having 1 board member be elected and 1 board member be appointed for each neighborhood, because some people really like the elections, but other ones, because of jobs that they have, they can't hold any type of elected office. So they like that they were appointed. Also, allowing board members to serve consecutive terms. This is, right now it says if you're on the board, you're on the board for like 4 years, and then you have to be off the board for a while. We have a hard enough time getting people to apply to be on the boards that if, we'd like to maybe have that be more flexible. Also, clarification on involvement in political or commercial activities. There was some confusion with that this year with wanting to hold debates. The neighborhood program has always done that in the past, where they have people come that are running for office come and do that. But there was confusion with the way the code was written this year that we didn't do that. Also, we're thinking of increasing the matching grant funds from 5,000 to 7,500. Which we would love, but like anything, it has to do with money. So we're hoping the city council can figure out a way to do that. There's always one district who doesn't do a matching grant. So we're hoping to, use their money and just increase it to 7,500 for the other districts that do. There's been confusion on the fee waiver process. We're still working through that. Maybe have the developers go back to notifying of zone changes. I know it's been problematic, so but it makes such a big difference between having 3 people come to the meeting and having, 100 people come to the meeting because they got a notice from the developer. So I think that's important, but it's a matter of, I guess in the past, they've had problems with developers just not doing it. And so I don't know. It was problematic. I need to figure out more information on that. And then there was talk of a couple of the neighborhoods. Pleasant View neighborhood talked about being aligned with District 1 instead of District 4, so it follows their council district. And the University neighborhood, everyone keeps wanting to grab that one. So either District 2 or 5. I don't know. District 5, do you want University neighborhood? That gives you a lot of neighborhoods. So that's BYU campus. You want it? Keep moving forward. Yeah, so there was a feeling of, do we put them with the students or do we put them with the BYU professors with District 2? So District 5. But you were just telling me there's too many neighborhoods in District 5. Yeah.
We lack representation from students. And I think in that respect, it makes sense to add them. Like, we need their voices. They are in our neighborhood. I don't know. I wonder if there's any way it could help their engagement.
Right.
The difference is still no students will come to your meetings. It's not going to change whether they're in your district or not. But you get to count all their service hours. So you get your matching grant projects right away.
Sometimes though, I even wonder, would we have more representation from BYU as an organization in that case?
You do have that representative has always been appointed by the president of BYU, and he does go to every meeting. He does.
Sometimes I feel like BYU needs to be involved. Sometimes it feels like we're trying to get things done and we're like so many of the issues in Joaquin are BYU issues, but
Right. Oh, okay, that's right. Yes. Professors, I don't know. That seems like I didn't really hear that from District 2. So I'm thinking District 5 might be it. I don't know why everyone wants to leave District 4 that me and Eric live in, but but okay, so that's good to know. I appreciate the feedback on that because that's something we weren't quite sure on. Is there any other, if there are other proposals, changes, please email. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yes.
We still have resources like the library and for neighborhood meetings. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
We
So
will
you
still-
can still, if you want to have your neighborhood meeting at the library, just have your representative call me and we can still get that there.
you.
But we'd love for you to have the option of having meetings in your neighborhood for issues that affect only your neighborhood. We would love to, because like you said, with the districts, it's been great. I've loved working on the district level, but it's hard to be heard when you have so many other districts that have very pressing matters that get brought up.
I guess that's it. I want to, oh yeah, we do. How much time do we have? 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes for comment, but I do want to say, Rachel, thank you for supporting this program. You do so much work. We do really appreciate it.
Well, all I have to say is you guys are amazing. You guys are the program. I just tell everyone I'm your secretary and I just kind of do all the behind the scenes work. It's you guys that come up with the agendas, that figure out what your neighborhoods need and are the voices. And I've been so impressed with the people in the neighborhood program. Like you guys are just the bedrock of the city, kind of, you know. It's no wonder why neighborhood chairs become city council members.
Okay. Any Q&A for the last little teeny bit? Did we get it all out with Vern? I got all mine out with Vern.
So question back to this.
Sure.
To the BYU students, what are we looking for? I mean, they're kind of in a different world. I mean, I was one of them at one time. So I mean, I know they're predominantly in Joaquin. I mean, there's quite a bit of them. Do you think there's good input to come from there, or is this stuff relating to dating and parking? I mean, do you think we'll get some real relevant discussion? Yeah.
I'll say this, I'm a faculty member there and I make them do stuff. Well, I try to give them extra credit for coming, but it didn't work. So sorry. Anyways, they really care about walking and biking issues. They care about pedestrian stuff because they're the ones crossing 800 North there and almost getting hit by cars every day. You know, so I do think, I mean, granted, they're already in our area and they're not here, but I know they also have a sustainability club on campus that really cares about, they sent out a survey to faculty and staff, and students recently about 800 North, asking if you'd ever witnessed an accident there, asking, so they're collecting data and they really care about those things. So in that sense, I think they're a benefit.
They need a voice, whatever things we can do to help them. The residents really appreciate the diversity of the Joaquin neighborhood, but the students need a voice.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like as a member of the Joaquin neighborhood who's been involved in this program for quite a while, we're always like students, like we're trying to represent students. Yeah, I agree with you, Susan. Anything else? Let's end just a little bit early. Thank you all so much. I'm like, happy holidays.